7. Good evening, everyone. This is the Public Policy and Finance Committee on Wednesday, the 8th of January. We'll take our first agenda item. Oh, before that, there's nobody here, so I don't have to say about the recording. We all know we're being recorded. Apologies. There are no apologies. Anybody got any declaration of interest? No. Okay, move on. Chairman's report and urgent item. The only thing, and I'm not sure if I said it last time, is that for those who are not aware, Paul is leaving. He is retiring.
Oh, I did see something that I was very curious about.
Let me go on, because first of all, I would just like to give the thanks of this committee for the work that he's done over many years. And one of the reasons our finances are in such good shape and our accounts are in excellent shape is the detailed and committed and continuing work of Paul over many years. And having done 40 years in public service, he's taking a well-earned retirement. And I don't think many people can lay claim to 40 years.
Anyway.
Please.
Said it was completed.
You get less than that for myself. So, anyway, moving on, I have no our thanks, and moving on to item 4. Are there any public questions in accordance with standing procedure? Good. Minutes, you'll find the minutes on pages 1 to 4. Does anyone have any comments or queries on the minutes? No, they're a summary of the sessions that we took in the meeting. Thank you. Agenda item 6 then, the minutes...
Sorry, Chair, can we sign the minutes?
Oh, I'll sign them. Sorry. The date is... that's the first time I've written 2020. I'll do the, moving on to agenda item 6, in minutes of the meetings which have been referred to the Corporate Policy and Finance Committee. The first is the minutes of the Accounts and Risk Subcommittee, which was held on the 21st of November 2019. And the recommendation was that the Corporate Policy and Finance Committee approve the investments which are outlined in Appendix A. And
Chair, can I jump in at that point?
Yeah.
That recommendation has been superseded, because when we reviewed the Treasury Management Strategy, which is further on the agenda, item 7.5, the management strategy sets out the perimeters for the officers to work within, and we are working within those parameters, so there's no need to make a recommendation to councillors for approval. Okay. However, details of investments will go to the Council Risk Subcommittee in the normal way.
In the normal way. Okay. So that's fine. So we'll move on then to the
Sorry, can I just make a really small comment
sure.
on the apologies, actually at the start. In the process of setting up this meeting, difficulty attending, and Pip Liver stood in for me. That's now in place, and I mean, she won't be a substitution anymore. She will be our representative on that committee.
Okay.
Is that okay? For just future emailing contact. Thank you.
Okay. The next item was on item 7.5 of the agenda, and it was to approve the risk register. Can we agree? Are there any questions on the risk register?
Again, Chair, there's a report later on the agenda which goes into that in a bit more detail.
Yeah. Yep. So shall we wait
till then? Yes.
Yeah. Okay, officers' report then. The first is on page 7 of your agenda, which is the forward planner and resolution tracker for 2019-20. Any questions or issues on this? The actual forward plan is on page 9. No? Okay. Well, the recommendations are first that we note and approve subject to any comments or amendments the forward plan attached to Appendix A. Can I have a show of hands, please? Thank you. Unanimous. And note that the resolution tracker attached to Appendix B and approve the removal of those resolutions marked complete. So can I have a show of hands for that, please? Good. Thank you. So then we move on to agenda item 7.2, which is the budget. And you will find that on page 13. You've seen the budget. I think this is the third time I've passed through. We are being asked at this meeting to recommend this budget to council, essentially. So, first of all, are there any remaining issues or questions on the budget? Anybody?
Perhaps, Chair, it would be useful if either you or Paul, as a draft act, as it were, just talk us through any highlights and particular important things that might have changed since we saw it last.
Nothing's changed since we saw it last.
Thank you. Okay.
Can I ask one quick question?
Yep.
I'm probably on page 16, 17, 18, but looking forward into even 2022, 23, is there not a ceiling we can put on it? There isn't there? It's only a district where we can put a government.
We have no.
We have no.
We have no ceiling. No.
It's only that level of authority above the House.
We're not governed by that.
No, we're parish council and we're not governed by those regulations.
Chair, can I actually come back to Councillor Butterworth's point? There has been changes because what this now includes is the Community Services Committee budget that was reviewed by that committee back in November. So it's a whole combination of things that have been amalgamated together. So for instance, if there was a variance on this committee's services and the other committee services, they've been added together. And it's just adding all those items together to make an overall picture for the council's budget.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we saw the community services at council.
You wouldn't have seen that, council?
No, did it not come to council?
My question is probably that. Can we don't look at the community services budget?
Not in detail.
But it looks like at the full council, doesn't it? Both.
No, you'll get this sort of detail.
That is it.
More strategic summarising.
They do their own thing. We do ours.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, they set their budget unit overall.
Yeah.
And we would step in if financially we couldn't afford what they wanted to do.
Okay. Yeah. There's some sort of.
If it doesn't balance, that's when we would
As a matter of interest, although I'm not suggesting anything changed, but the commercial income, how robust is that? I mean, if there was anything really happening in the economy, would you anticipate that producing a bit of a shortfall, or is it all pretty sound?
What we've got at the moment is based on trends or fixed agreements that are in place. The trends, one, could be influenced by what you've just said, in the fact that park hall lettings, car park income, farmers market charges, where there could be a drastic change for the numbers attending, that sort of thing. But we regularly review it and monitor it as the year goes on.
In the past, has there been any sort of significant ups and downs depending on what's been happening in the
It has
economy?
come down this year and projected next year based on those trends that we've been looking at and to reflect more accurate figures.
Okay.
I'll give you an example. The park hall has gone up and come down over the years, and we've tended to trim it whichever way, depending on what's been happening. This year, Lydekker Park, car park, that car park is consistently not fully utilised. In other words, there's spaces in it quite a lot of the time, yeah. And that is reflected, particularly this year, in a drop in income. There was also, for part of the year, there was somebody broke the meters, and so we lost revenue. But that then made us think that's probably happening on an ongoing basis. We're going to have to change the way we having coin meters in a car park, people are going to break into it every so often. So So you have to factor that in. And we're changing it, I think it's been changed to cars.
So are they,
Eventually.
are the prices charging there the same as at the other car park, or is it different?
Cheaper.
Cheaper.
Just people when they talk about parking in Harpenden, mean parking outside the shops, they don't mean
Right, yeah.
parking 5 minutes away and walking.
I was part of it, I was getting.
I always park there. And there's always a space, irrespective of when you go.
Except on Saturdays.
Yeah,
Because it's free.
because it's free.
Is it?
Okay, and every year we have the debate, should we charge for it on a Saturday, and every year we decide not to, because the shopkeepers make a big fuss.
Thank you. Sorry, just coming back to the point about the community service budget and accepting that we look at it, helicopter view as it were, rather than in detail. But on page 17, it's quite difficult to get an overview because the total expenditure line is for both committees, and we don't see that you can't readily see the total differences for the two separate committees. So looking at budget against estimate, I see where we are overall, but not where the Community Services Committee is, which is perhaps
I can change that when it goes to council.
I think that would be helpful.
Yes.
Subtotal, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, each would need a subtotal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
I mean, on that theme, is there anything we ought to be aware of that in terms of those figures, the budget estimate?
The big one is Liddica Park car park, which is always the big one.
Which you just mentioned, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, what we're doing is taking a conservative pace. So we're going to have to look at that, how we can start to turn that round.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question? Any other questions? No? Okay. Can I move then to the recommendations? Is that okay, members? Yeah? Okay, the committee is asked to recommend to council that the total budget for 2020-2021 is £1,448,240 as set in Appendix A. Can we agree that? The Harpenden Town Council precept for 2020-2021 of £1,069,930, representing a council tax base band D equivalent of £74.73. Can we agree? Thank you. And the council tax base figure of 14,318 be noted. Can we agree? And that the medium-term financial plan included in Appendix C, which is where you would start next year as the starting point for the budget, be noted. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, going back to 213, is there a pound sign missing?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
No, it's a number.
Oh, not a pound. It's not a pound.
Oh,
It's a number of houses.
oh, that's the number of houses, isn't it? It's only 40.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine. Okay, fine. Yes.
Interesting. I thought there was 15,000, but there we go. Any questions, colleagues? Paul?
No, fine.
No. Right. Moving on to agenda item 7.3, which is on page, I can find it, 19. This is a review of the actual expenditure and income against budget for 2019-20 for the April to November period. So that's six-month period, yeah. It's detailed in the... Well, 37. It's detailed in the attached appendix and it's grouped by activity. So, first of all, does anybody have any questions of understanding you'd like to ask about this? Is there anything anybody's not clear about?
So effectively, in the 6 months, we've underspent by 11,800. That's what that means.
Yeah.
7 months, but yes.
I can say to them, beginning of April and November.
8, yes.
So,
Mainly on staff costs, it looks like.
Do you expect that same variance to carry through all the way through the year, or do you expect it to improve? So is there any reason why there might be a significant variance to that by the end of the year, is the question?
I'm actually working on that over the last couple of days.
For an outturn.
And it's looking slightly favourable compared to that. But I haven't gone through the work programme of the officers downstairs.
Okay.
But it should be fairly good.
In particular, I just wondered if there was any, following on Nigel's point earlier, any threat to any commercial income over the remaining?
They're booked.
That's pretty booked.
Pretty good, yeah. In fact, there's a slight improvement because we've got an extra stall on the concourse. You might have noticed the
I
first
see it, yeah.
So a slight improvement to the end of this year.
Any other questions? No? Okay, the recommendation is just that we note the report. Oh, you've got a question, Bert, or do you just get
No,
in
no.
quick? Get in quick.
I'm good.
Okay,
Sorry.
and we note the report. Thanks. Agenda item 7.4. This is the review of internal control and internal audit arrangements, and it's a review of the effectiveness of the Council's internal control arrangements, and we've been asked to consider the level of fidelity guarantee insurance cover in place. Fidelity guarantee insurance, for those not familiar with the term, is how much insurance we have in case somebody runs off with our money. Yeah. So we're covered for 2 million. The question here is, given that we've got 4.5 million in, should we increase it? That is the...
That was exactly the question I was going to ask.
Yes.
The 2 million is obviously relevant where the standard precept is in place.
Usually we're maxing at 2 million in any 1 year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but obviously we've now got an extra
4.5
couple of million.
yeah. And that is the question I will put to the committee. So the first one is just any questions about any of this?
well, there's a cost for everything, obviously. The premium we're currently paying and we'll pay our renewal, and what it would be if we increase the cover.
Question.
It wouldn't be double, I don't think.
It's more than double.
But what is it
More than
anyway?
double.
We're paying about 1,900 and it goes about 4,500 if you increase it to 4.5 million.
I mean, okay, I mean, you have to be pretty smart to get money out, and someone who's been in business for 40 years might just be able to do it, but not many people would find it difficult to get $1 million. And
He's got his flights.
lots of people would struggle to get $1 million out, and getting 4.5 out would probably defeat them. So the question is whether the extra, say 1,000 or so, or more, would be better spent, or maybe doesn't need to be spent, at looking at what the controls are to stop it happening anyway. Because otherwise you just go on paying more and more premiums for something which is actually a
The likelihood is low.
Yeah.
I think our controls are pretty tight. We have a number of processes. We have segregated duties. So different people are involved in the process, and they have to go through those to complete the actual process. So the chances of fraudulent activity is greatly reduced. I can't say it's none. It's greatly reduced.
What would be the expense then? Presumably there's different people have different authorities at different levels.
It's quite low.
It's quite low.
It is quite low.
What level do you have to get before it requires 2 senior people to sign?
About 5,000.
Every payment that goes out is signed by 2 councillors.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt. So is it actually physically checked or signed?
It used to be checked, and now we send them a report, and they review that report and sign off that report to say they've approved it. But before it's got to that stage, we've got officers that check on different stages going through to generate
Right,
that report.
so even although the councillors are signing it off, they're not the people actually pressing the button to make
No.
the payments.
No.
So you are
Because
relying
I've been
on
signing this for years, and You literally go through, it's the same things coming up month after month. Anything that looks a bit odd or you don't recognise, you ask about.
But this is after the event.
No.
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 Well, it could be after the event there was collusion by two officers. Yes.
You'd need 2 councillors as well, it's before people are paid.
No,
You need the councillors to
no,
approve
I
it
think the
before
point
it's
is that even if they didn't sign off the report, that if people have access to press the electronic banking, 2 people could approve payment, presumably. Or am I wrong?
No, the process is the officers look at it manually
Yeah.
and agree, and then it goes online. The officers then check the online version.
Actually,
They
on
send-
the online system?
On the online system.
Ah,
It then goes to 2 councillors
okay,
before anybody's paid. It's a monthly, it's
right.
an ongoing thing. There's 4 councillors who are approved to do it. It needs 2 of them to sign it. And it's always
On
a
the
different
system?
yeah.
Well, actually, physically go
I don't
into the
think
They
system.
have to physically go on the system.
Right, sorry,
Right.
I didn't, that's what the point I was missing.
No,
I
they
didn't
have to
realise.
physically go on the
Okay.
side and they put an electronic signature on
Okay,
it.
that's what I was, when you said signature, I wasn't realising it.
Yeah.
Unless the system's changed, I haven't done it since it's become electronic, you do actually check off against every invoice or whatever you see each invoice.
But what used
make
to
sure
happen
they
was
match.
you sit for about an hour with the piles and you check every invoice against every purchase order.
I didn't realise it was, right, okay.
Before.
So, hypothetically, it wouldn't even be possible for 2 people, Paul's position and someone else, to do this, to get substantial sums of money out, because it would need collusion from 2 councillors as well.
Yes, the only way it could happen is if the councillors just think, oh, this is a fast.
Oh, yeah, but no,
Without looking.
we wouldn't
Yeah.
do that.
Can I say something, suggest something as a sort of double defence? Firstly, I'm assuming that the increase from 1,900 to 4,500, that whoever gives that insurance is not taking any specific study like we are into the protections. They're giving you generic.
Yes.
The average council loses 0.001% of this, and it sounds already that
It's a
our
high value,
procedures
so they're going to
our
have a high
procedures.
premium on it.
Yeah. But is it possible, I mean, to protect us in a different way, is that we keep the fidelity insurance of 2 million, but because we're in this unusual situation that we've got 4.5 million for some time, so that we just simply say, have some override in terms of the bank mandate that says it's not possible to take out more than 1 million in a 3-month period or something. In other words, something that means that should in this very unlikely scenario 4 people have colluded, the most you could lose is 1 million before somebody else would see, like us, this committee would see that we're £1 million down.
The only other control
Yeah.
we've got with the bank is the maximum we can process at any one time for a single entry is £100,000
Right,
in any one day.
in any one day.
So they'd have to
So
do
it'd take
it
you
over
20
days.
working days before you could take the 2 million out.
Yeah.
And then what we need to know is, would somebody else know within 20 days that the 2 million had gone out?
Not necessarily.
Well, that's a bit we may need to just look at.
Yeah.
It's all about
I agree
saving
with
money.
you, yeah, I agree with you, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. But the other thing about it is that well, it would need the clerk to be involved in it, and it would need the financial officer to be involved, because they see everything.
Yeah.
And it would need 2 councillors. So you just have to look at what's the probability of that happening.
So it's a fairly important point, isn't it? Are we stay at the 2 million or 4.5 million? Not 4.5, yeah. Should we be passing this on to council for all to approve, rather than doing it here? I know it's not in the wording here. We're signing it off ourselves.
No, it doesn't. This committee has always approved it.
We should do it. Yeah, just.
I would say, if I didn't know a little bit about insurance, that this is a very, very expensive line of insurance,
Yeah.
and it always is.
Yeah.
And I know in my firm, which handles very large sums every day, we've just got exasperated at the size of the premium. We said, no, we're just not taking insurance out, we're just going to look at our controls.
Well, I can tell you, my company at any one point could have up to 6-7 million. You know, at max, it could go up to 6 million. We only had 2 million. But it's actually quite hard to take out large sums of money, because the bank, if suddenly you take out $500,000, the bank calls you.
Yeah.
I think based on what you told me, Chair, what call you Chair or Chairperson or Chairwoman or
Call me what
Chairwoman?
you like.
I think there's too many checks and balances, and because the 4 people involved are from different sides of the table, so to speak, I'm reasonably comfortable. I think it's different if you were sort of paying out, the way I used to pay millions of pounds going out in a transaction where,
Yeah. The other thing, of course, is that we've got this money across multiple financial institutions. It's not all in one.
Yeah.
And the only
You'd have to transfer the money back in.
you'd have to transfer all the money back into the current account.
And then that can pay it out. So the 100,000, because it all comes from the current account eventually. Okay.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be very easy to do because, of course, they're in different lengths and some of them are in longer term.
Yeah.
So
Some of them
you can't just take the money out.
fixed deposits.
Yeah.
The one thing we haven't sort of followed, haven't followed up on is the question was asked if people took out 100,000 and 20% of consecutive days, is there a process to catch that? And I wasn't sure the answer to that. How often is the bank rec done?
We do a bank reconciliation on a daily basis, on the basis of all transactions gone through over the day is processed.
Yeah.
So if a large sum went through, it will be picked up at that point.
Yeah.
But that's done by the same person that does the online processing. So what I think I'm listening to councillors is that we just need an extra stage in that process to overview
A different person.
yeah. And we can build that in, there's no problem at all.
Yeah, and that would be for everything, not just...
Yes.
And preferably a manager not in finance.
Yeah.
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 I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think we want to spend the extra money.
No.
As you said originally, Roger, improve the controls and save the money.
I agree.
Fine.
Yeah, I
That's
think
a good idea.
a good idea to put that in as a recommendation. Thank you. So if we go back, we'll put that in as a recommendation, and I'd ask you, can we approve the review of our internal control Appendix C and the internal audit arrangements for Appendix B? Have a show of hands.
Subject to the point we just made.
Yep. And the level of the town council fidelity guarantee insurance is unanimous. Right. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just thinking on that point, Paul, you're going to, so we've obviously approved it, that stick it at 2 million, and at some point within a period you report to us outside the saying I've now made those changes, or the extra.
What I'll do is I'll talk to Carl and set up the procedure, and then we'll go to the council risk subcommittee.
Yeah, and at that point,
Just tell them what's
so
happening.
at that point we know.
And then it
we've
gets
got
fed
extra.
into the
Yeah.
permanent
Okay,
as
thank
well.
you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Colin. Okay, agenda item 7.5, Treasury Management and Investment Strategy. Right. First of all, any questions on this? We've seen it before, haven't we?
One question is that 4.4, it says council's current investments are this, and does this include the 2 million receipt?
Some of it.
Right, so it isn't all it. It's going to take. I couldn't see how I could possibly with the run rate money as well.
No, these are what's actually in investments.
Right.
In the bank reserve accounts is the balance.
Right. So this doesn't include the bank reserve account. No.
And these are purely investments that we've made.
I'm just trying to. I will do someone who's already taken the 2 million. That was all.
Fine, please. Okay. Yes.
In 5.4, apologies, as we've seen this before, I should have made the comment earlier, but the 4 bullets, UK clearing banks and subsidiaries, other UK banks. Hopefully this is restricted to those which are actually regulated by the Prudential Regulation Authority. Is that clear somewhere?
I think they have to be. I think councils have to. They cannot invest in any bank that isn't.
That's what I had.
I think it's slightly out there. 5.5 refers to the FSA. The FSA was the body that was split into the Financial Conduct Authority and the PRA, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably just it updating, and if it says UK PRA, then I think that probably covers it. They took that.
Yeah. Well, that's only the pool, whereas 5.4 is non-pool.
Yeah.
So if we are watching it, I think we should make clear that
it PRA.
PRA regulated in 5.4.
We've always taken a very small C conservative and cautious approach to investment. prioritising liquidity and lack of risk.
Clear.
Yep.
So, and I think the shock when certain councils in the area lost large sums of money.
Iceland.
Yep.
Iceland.
Iceland.
Iceland brings to mind, which they never got back. I understand.
I don't know, yeah, private individuals did, but not
No,
no one else.
no,
Yeah.
no, local authorities did.
Yeah.
Too many. So, any questions? No?
One question actually on the strategy document itself, appendix A, under 5.4, approved counterparty list, maximum funds to be invested. Is there sufficient there for the amount that we might be carrying at one point theoretically?
There is, but we probably won't invest it all because we'll be looking at capital receipt and how we can use that
Yeah.
in other ways. So
Okay.
I don't think we'll be looking.
So you won't be top maxed out under the limit?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? No?
I assume the reserve account where the money is get a fairly decent rate of interest, is it?
It's not good.
Point two.
It's given some return.
That's the 1%.
Point two. Yes.
I mean, if you're keeping up with inflation, you're lucky.
Yeah, that's true.
We're very lucky with that.
But last final question, please, Chair. Presumably none of the council's money is invested with St Albans District Council, as that would be quite incestuous.
That would also be online.
I was wondering that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay, can I move to the recommendation then on page 33? We have been asked to approve the Treasury Management and Investment Strategy for 2020-2021 as shown at Appendix A. Thank you. Agenda item 7.6. And this is the recommendation from the Accounts and Risk Subcommittee with respect to the risk register. Does anyone have, who has not seen it, would they like to see the risk register?
I would say we did spend a lot of time, didn't we?
We spent about 3 hours.
Did not Carl, the town clerk, have a look too?
Yes.
We did, didn't we? So if we missed it, it wasn't for that one trying, was it? It's 200 pages, wasn't it?
It was 158 pages,
Yeah,
actually.
I do remember.
You remember it well?
I remember it well. I made the odd comment.
Very small
Useful.
font.
I've not seen this, whether I have an opportunity or not. I'm not complaining, but the comment I have to make with publications is they're too long. They're so long that it defeats the objective, and this council are not unique. I mean, the same comment in relation to St Albans, that they ought to be focused on the important things, because otherwise you just sort of lose the wood for the trees. And the points that have been made about the length of it, that sort of substantiate that.
But we did do some sensible alteration along the way. Did alter slightly.
We've done alterations, but I think Councillor Parker was talking about the actual volume, the 150 pages.
Yeah.
We have a requirement to report all our risks to the council.
I would say, Roger, I understand your point, but I've got to say, having seen a number of these things in commercial practice, I'm sure a number of us have, the actual fact, it's a pretty comprehensive policy, but it's not out of line of what you might see in a commercial organisation, I thought. There are some more minor risks on there, I would agree, but the problem would be it's on the public website, and if something then occurred, it's a bit difficult.
Some of the risks are unlikely in the extreme. However, if it happened and you didn't show them when you knew about it,
Had you considered it?
It is effective. I know they go on forever, the district goes on even longer, but it is tedious, but it is in fact at the end of the day to protect the organisation.
and the residents.
And the residents. Yes, it goes both ways, but it is
Works both ways.
it is a
I mean, the chance of an oak tree sort of falling down and hitting people.
Yeah, but it
Yes,
can
fair
happen.
enough, yeah,
But
absolutely.
it happens, and that's why you check them every 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And even checking them will not necessarily stop them falling.
well, all you need is a really big stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody's after us to stand on the one.
But you can demonstrate the
Yes,
process.
I'm
That's
saying,
right,
it-
yes,
just
you
because you do it
demonstrate
doesn't
that you
mean
have-
that you stop it. It's
No, it's to show that you have taken into account, considered it,
Yeah.
and
That's
put
good.
in place what is possible to mitigate.
Now, that's the final question, given that it is detailed. Does the council staff have the time and resources to actually follow up all the mitigation? Because if you don't, then it actually is not very helpful, because it's
Roger,
only defence if you do it.
if you read the routes register and then you look at what they do, they have to, because if it goes wrong and they haven't done it, they are liable. They are legally liable, aren't they, for?
Most of the mitigations that are recorded are actions that we are going to do.
Okay.
So, for instance, there's one on this table here that says about doing the condition survey. We're going to do that in January.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you very much. Okay.
You do, if you say you're going to do it, you have to do it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other? No? Okay, issues with it? Any issues? No? Okay, we'll move to the recommendation, and we've been asked to we've been asked to send the risk register for 2019-20 to council for approval. I shall pass on that. Thanks. Okay, moving on to agenda item 7.7, which is a community grant for an application from the Lalish League of Harpenden. They're asking to cover the cost of room hire for meetings for a period of 12 months. There's information about it in here. Any questions or
Just checking that there is no availability in Park Hall at this time, or if in giving them 2 hours a month in what we're trying to rent out, because we then I just looked to me like they might have quite a bit of flexibility, because they want it for 2 hours once a month. I presume they want it sometime during the day, not at any of our peak times. And so my question was, has it been considered that they do it on our own facilities, in which case we wouldn't be paying 360 to another organisation?
Park Hall is let out during the week, pretty full.
Okay, no, in that case that's absolutely
I
fine.
don't know if it's been checked, but I know it's booked up pretty full.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fine. Because it didn't seem to be a lot, and I would hope that, I'm sure we rent it out for at least that amount, so that's fine.
I presume you would prefer to rent to someone who's coming weekly rather than given the option.
Yeah, I can understand there's an opportunity cost of the rate. I just wanted to check that we wasn't just sitting there not being used. That's great.
Is Janet the Legion?
Yeah.
Well, they've got car parking there.
I would recommend something like the Mayor's Parlour, but I don't think it's going to be big enough. They need a much bigger room. They can't take this because this is used for meetings and has to be free. And if they did it, they would be setting it up, it would be Tuesday of the month or something like that. So. Okay. Any other questions? Well, colleagues, are people happy to approve this? Can I have a show of hands?
Looks a good idea.
That's great. I think it's a really good idea, because that's a time for a lot of women in their lives when they're very, very isolated.
I think it's not very often, once a month. But I mean, that's, it's a shame. It's not very
But
more.
at least it
I wish they could get some more.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's the end of the agenda.